A very, very warm welcome to you all. Just give me a minute, please. Today, as we are going to go on with the second webinar, where we will learn about the 3 easy ways to grow our international clients under the webinar series of marketing and relationship strategies for buying agents. I would like to thank Mr. Vishal Dhingra. Unfortunately, he is not here with us today due to some other engagements. Mr. Sonal Jain, founder and CEO Sotex. Our guest speaker today, Mr. Sandeep Kaushik, entrepreneur, Method Books, and co-founder of Winning Mantra. All our GB members and all our BAA members who found the time to join us today. Thank you so very much for joining us. I'd now like to invite our General Secretary, Ms. Achal Kansal, to say a few words and share a little bit about the session today.
Thank you so much, Tanya, and welcome everybody. We're very excited to see you all again here. And this entire series with Sotex, with Sonal, and with Gagan has been quite an initiative from their side, trying to bring around what the industry needs differently today, and which is majorly pertaining to the marketing that we are doing. With the lack of travel we've had in the last couple of years, Gagan, as we had, Hanji, was somebody saying something?
No, go ahead, Achal.
Okay. So, like last time, Gagan was telling us about different marketing strategies. This time, it is about Sandeep's vision of how buying agents can explore different markets. I think that's always been one of our challenges, that we only know a few markets. We know US, we know Canada, Australia, we know Europe, we know UK. And beyond that, our bandwidth and knowledge and our expertise into exploring new markets becomes very limited. So, this is going to be indeed a great learning for all of us today, and a collective learning for the community, how we can explore new markets, minimizing our risk to the markets, at the same time increasing our Prime Minister's aim of increasing exports by 33%. So, if we all are successful with what Sandeep teaches us today and trains us on, I think we should be much closer to the 33% goal that we are looking at. I wouldn't take much time, but I would deeply thank everybody here for the time of joining us today. A big thanks to Sotex, to Sonal, and to Sotex Connect, being headed by Gagan. And I would also like to thank Sandeep for really sparing his valuable time today, for coming on board and reaching out to all of us with his expertise and information. Thank you all so much, and I would like Tanya to take the session forward.
Members, I'd like to share a little bit about Sandeep. Sandeep is a serial entrepreneur in business for the last 28 years. He runs a book designing and publishing company by the name of Mekau Books, which are selling into 98 countries and 27 languages. He is a co-founder of Winning Mantra, focused on training and consulting for exporters and budding exporters and startups. He is a UN certified export growth consultant and has 22 years of export experience. It's his mission to train more than 100,000 entrepreneurs in India by 1st October 2025. In the last 3 years, Sandeep has given a systematic approach to start, build, and grow 5x to over 12,800 entrepreneurs, and has created numerous success stories for export growth of these entrepreneurs. He is consulting 27 companies from 11 different industries and in three countries for export growth. As a trainer in BNI for the past 7 years, he has trained more than 18,000 entrepreneurs, helping them enhance their business skills. Sandeep is a senior director consultant at BNI Gurgaon and an integral part of the rocking training team of BNI Gurgaon. He is a Hindi lover and runs a Facebook page called Hindi Mera Pyar, where people from all over the world share their love for Hindi language. In his spare time, you will find Sandeep socializing with family and friends, partying and enjoying dance, and loves to spend his mornings doing Zumba, pilates, and long walks in nature. Something no one knows about him is that he still holds the fastest 100-meter record in Delhi School's Athletic Championship. I'd now like to hand over the floor to our guest speaker today, Mr. Sandeep Kaushik. Welcome, Sandeep ji.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanya and Anshul, for giving me the opportunity to speak to the buyers and to the community. It's really a great pleasure, and thank you so much for giving that opportunity to me. So today we'll be talking about 3 unbelievably easy ways to grow your international clients portfolio, something we've been talking about for the last 3 years. And since the time we've actually gone into this, this tough period, there's a lot of use of technology which has happened. I mean, before that, even I used to go travel to various countries, exhibit into various countries, and would meet buyers, find buyers, majorly towards exhibitions and the way you personally go and meet them in your trips. But during the last 3 years, rather 2.5 years, the scenario has changed, and a lot of new things are being used, and the acceptability of technology has really grown up all over the world. And that is why we came out with these amazing system where you can actually grow your market exponentially into various countries based on your products, based on your expertise. So today, we're going to talk about 3 ways. One is how to shortlist countries to expand your business based on your products. So that is something which Anchal was talking about, that majorly we always talk about US, UK, Australia, Canada, and the major 5-6 markets. However, world is 220 plus countries. We need to see which are the areas, which are the countries where we can actually expand our business. As a buyer, as a buying agent, as a buying agency, we need to really see those opportunities. How to find genuine buyers, and also how to create more leads for yourself. What are the various ways you can use? Can we mute all? Someone is.
And we request all members to please mute themselves.
Okay, thank you. And of course, finally, today we'll talk about how to convert leads into closed business, how to really convert those leads which get generated. So, $1 million question, which countries to focus? Now, as a buying agent or a buying agency, all of you must be having specialty into various areas, various products. It's not that all of us do everything. Of course, it's available all over India, whatever products are being exported, but you have to have your niche. And it's always good to go with your niche to a market, because then it will be a very focused approach to really build up your client base. So let's understand that, of course, since all of you are aware of exported processes, I'm sure you are very clear that which products you want to represent. And then for understanding global markets, what is required is your HSN code. And if you have a product, it's going to be one HSN code. If you have multiple products, of course, it's going to be multiple HSN code. So this study is going to be for a group of HSN codes or a specific HSN code. And based on that, we can find out what are the countries to focus upon. So the countries you're already working on, that's something, please continue doing it. But I'm going to tell you how you can shortlist top 10 countries for your products, and then can repeat that thing later on once you start doing business in those 10 countries. So let's take a small example. Let's take an example of 61, which is apparel and clothing accessories, which are knitted and crocheted. Now, for us to understand for any HSN code for any product, what are the favorable markets? And for that, what you need to know is what is the value of import happening. So the first part is value of import. But before value of import, I would rather go to the export worldwide. What is the potential of that product? So as you can see, there are various tools which are available, which can give you, based on your HSN code, it can give you what is the amount of business happening worldwide. It's not what's happening from India, it's worldwide export. So like in this case, it is $237 billion. And the biggest exporters for this particular product is China, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Germany, Italy, Turkey, and India is coming at number 7 with almost $8 billion worth of export happening. So you can find out this data for your HSN code, for your product. And this is the export market, just to see what is the overall market size like. But what we are interested in to shortlist countries is very simply the import value. And here you can see that US, the total import value for this product is $215 billion. And US is the biggest market. But if you go further down, you can see US, Germany, Japan, UK, France, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, Canada, and all of it, I mean, up to even UAE, it comes to around $2.3 billion. So there are a lot of markets which are importing quite a lot of this material. Similarly, for your product, you can find out using these tools that what are these markets, these countries who are importing the most of your product. I'm sure you'll be targeting the top 2 or 3, but I would rather say if you really want to focus on them, maybe leave the top 3 for now and take out the next 20. Take out the next 20, download them in an Excel sheet, because we are going to work on shortlisting from those 20 to 10 countries. That is what is going to be the next process. And what are the other factors we're going to talk about? The first factor would be the country rating. You all know there's a country credit rating, a site called eximitra.in. I'm sure most of you must be aware of that. You can go and find out the country rating. The country ratings are A's, B's, C's, and D's. So if the country you're shortlisting, which comes in these 20 countries, are in A's and B's, it's safe to do business. If they're in C's and D's, I won't say don't do business, but then you do business with those people in a way that money is 100% advance. Other than that, the credit rating of the country is not good. That means there's a risk involved. Whether you're a buying agent, buying agency, or even you're giving to exporter, there is a risk involved. So better to avoid them, at least for now. So once you have done this in terms of country rating, we'll find out the export potential of your product. There are tools available which can find out what is the export potential of your product worldwide, number one, and then also from India. So what is the export potential of your product from India? That's something these amazing tools will give you that. And from India to these countries. So all the 20 countries, you can check one by one and can find out what is the export potential in terms of millions, billions, whatever it is. And just put that in that Excel sheet. And once you've done that, go sort it out from higher to lower, like higher export potential to lower export potential. And the next one is saturated or non-saturated markets. Again, there are very simple tools available online where you can find out for your product, specifically for your product, are these markets saturated? What do we mean by saturated market? Saturated market is where the demand and supply are almost met. There's a lot of competition. Everybody wants to go and sell there. Mostly in US, you'll find this. Everybody wants to sell in US. Of course, it's the biggest market, but the competition is high. Getting inside is high. Whereas there are a lot of other countries which are doing good business where competition is not that high, where there's still the demand and supply, there is a good gap, and there's more opportunity for you to really get more clients. So that is something you need to see. And if there is some saturated markets, please remove them from that list. If there are non-saturated markets, it's good for you to go ahead. And the next one would be the trade agreements. As you all know, that the trade agreements are agreements between countries to countries. So like India has trade agreements with a lot of countries. You can go to the site called indiantradeportal.in and can find out what are the trade agreements we have. And in fact, for every product, we can also find out what is the impact of this trade agreement with in terms of your finding buyers or your shortlisting countries. How does this trade agreements help? They help in terms of having less import duties. So buyers in these countries where we have trade agreements, they get that benefit of working with Indian manufacturers or Indian suppliers because they are saving on the import duty. It'll be favorable for you to find out such countries. And amongst those 20 countries, there are 4, 5, 7 countries who have good arrangement with India in terms of trade agreements, who have this benefit of import duty. That definitely is the countries to go for. And this definitely will fall in our top list of 10 countries. Maggie, you have raised the hand. I would request that we just finish this session in 45 minutes flat. And after that, I'll be absolutely okay with all the questions you have. So please keep writing your questions and I'll surely get back to you. Thank you. And the last one, which doesn't really require any tool, but very, very important are steep factors. Steep is social, technical, economical, ecological, and political factors. There are no tools available which can directly find you that. But of course, with a little bit of Google search, you can find out about the situation in these countries we are shortlisting in terms of political situation. Like, for example, if the countries are Syria, Libya, Venezuela, or even like for that matter, Brazil, there political turbulence happening. Not the right countries to work with. Economical position in the country, like there is too much fluctuation of dollar happening. There are countries like Nigeria where the banks doesn't have money at all. They don't have dollars. So it's not the right approach to work there at this moment. Similarly, cultural trends, when it comes to social things, cultural trends, demographic. If you're into, say, fashion brand, if you're into fashion apparel business, and the cultural trends doesn't match with those fashion, of course, those are the countries we should not focus upon. So we look at these factors, and all these factors will help us shortlist these countries. So on base of import values, what we will do, we will find out 20 countries. We'll remove the top 3 for now, find out 20 countries, and then country rating, export potential, saturated, non-saturated markets, trade agreements, steep factors will help us find out and shortlist 10 countries based on your product. And if you have multiple products, for example, you are representing multiple products, you do this exercise for these multiple products with their HSN codes, and then find the common 10 countries. I'm sure you'll be able to find that out. We have done this exercise with a lot of people we are consulting, and we are able to find out the most preferred countries for them. And of course, business has started faster than maybe it was started in US and UK. So now that you're shortlisted countries based on your product, based on your markets, we're going to go on to the next one, which is lead generation, of finding the right buyers. For you to represent a company, you need to find those companies first. And for that, of course, there are some portals available where you can go and buy customs data and all that stuff, which is run-of-the-mill thing. But what we tell you are the actual methods where you can actually go deep dive and find out in detail the possible buyers. Of course, you need to segment what kind of buyers you're looking at, but you definitely can find that out. So let's go and see what are the various ways to find buyers who are buying from your industry, and maybe you can approach them to represent them in India. So what are the various methods? Data analysis, e-commerce sites, trade associations, international exhibitions, keyword search, social media, and the hashtag method. And of course, at the end of this, I will also give you some very, very innovative methods for lead generation, which people are using nowadays. Of course, it's a time-consuming thing. It takes some time to get into that groove, but you will be able to find some amazing leads, amazing connects. So the first one is data analysis. Simple, using these tools, we find out for this product in this country, who are the buyers. Very simple. You get the name of the company, you find out their website, you find out a little bit more about that. But what we are looking at is three-way communication. Number one, the email ID. Number two, their social media handles, preferably a LinkedIn handle if possible for the company or for some of the purchase heads or the owners or the CEOs of the company. So email ID, LinkedIn connections, and the phone number. These are the 3 things which we need to find out from this, but that will be our strategy to connect with them in a phased manner. And that is how it is going to be more relevant for you to find that out. And it's easy to find out. You can find out going to the website, you can find out the name of the people. A lot of time you'll have the founders and all those details there. Email is also found. And if required, you can go to LinkedIn, search for this company, and you'll find out the people working in that company. And looking at the profile, you can find out who's your man or who's the person you need to connect with. So that's the first way of finding out good, genuine buyers. The second one is, if your products are something which is selling on e-commerce site, then they're a great source for you to find out which are the brands, which are the distributors who are doing it. In your case, since you're buying it, you'll be looking at the brands to represent, not the distributors. But when you go to e-commerce site, search for your product, you will get a whole big list of that product. So the countries you're shortlisted, for every country, find out the top 10 e-commerce websites. Make a list of that. Go to each website, search for your product. And once you search for your product, you will get a list of people who are selling those products. Now, there can be three kinds of people in this. Number one, Indian distributor, Indian companies selling there. Of course, we don't need the data. Number two are distributors in that place who are distributing various products online. We don't need them as well because you want to represent the companies, not the distributors. Of course, distributor will be a good connect for exporters who are exporting from India. But for you, since you want to represent companies as a buying agent or buying agency, that is not your target segment. However, the companies, the brands who are selling there, they are the ones who are your target segment. And you need to find out the brands, you need to find out more details about that using Google and also using LinkedIn. And of course, the three connection points I talked about will go good with all the methods we are talking. Trade associations. Every industry has associations, and a lot of countries have these associations. It's difficult to get the data of trade associations directly. Some of the associations are very open. Their data is very open. They have directories, they have PDFs, they have everything available, which will give you access to this data. However, if you don't get that, and sometimes the bigger organizations are closed in terms of finding out those, sharing the data of the members, that is where you need to really use that trick. Always you will find out in the website, you always be like president, vice president, general secretary, and all that 4 or 5 people name, contact address, company name, etc. would always be there. Connect with those 5. Connect through LinkedIn. Connect through whatever medium you want. Make a good connection. Make a good relationships. And once you are well connected with them, that is when you can get the data. But getting this data is very important. Think of it that whatever industry you're representing, and suppose you're looking at, say, Belgium as a market, and you find out the trade association of all the possible buyers in one association. How valuable is that data? And of course, sometimes it's easier to get it. Sometimes you do that extra effort to get it. But once you get it, that would be like a gold mine for you. And yes, you all know that international exhibitions, whether physical or virtual, has always been a great way of generating leads, meeting buyers, meeting potential buyers. So international exhibition, physical, of course, still the best way. They have started happening. They will start happening more and more next year. And I'm sure once they are happening, you are absolutely aware of attending them, meeting people, telling that why they should work with you. And that is when you can actually get more and more data. Virtual exhibitions are happening worldwide. I would say virtual exhibitions would be good only for like the top 10 international exhibitions for your industry. If they are doing their own virtual exhibitions, will be better to attend rather than someone who's just come up new and doing their own exhibitions, because they will be able to put in exhibitors, but not the buyers. But we are looking at as buyers. So look at the top 10 exhibitions in your industry, find out what are the virtual exhibitions happening. You can go to a site called 10times.com or a lot of other sites where you can find out that list. And then from there, see, because participation in these virtual exhibitions is not very expensive. If you get good 5, 7 good clients or good leads, that is good. That is something which you can follow up and definitely convert into more business. Of course, Google has always been a great space to find out various buyers in those countries, but you have to go specific to those countries. Okay, so 2 ways in Google, something I'm telling you, which are very, very effective. Number 1, don't say the buyer of this product in, say, New Zealand. No. Always write list of buyers or importers or whatever you want to write of this product in New Zealand. And then don't just go for first page, go up to at least 10 pages, because first pages are majorly ads. So go up to 10 pages and you might find a complete list of buyers somewhere. You might find a website where you get a lot of data in. So Google definitely is a great way of finding data. The other way you can find out is Google Maps. You dissect the country, whatever country you are focusing on, dissect that into the pin codes, the smaller codes, and each code you find out the data. Think of it, going to UK market, divide that into almost 45 different major cities. And for each city, find out their code, find out Google Map details, and find out the buyer's listing. This is like dissecting the whole country into smaller chunks and finding out the data using Google Maps. Very, very effective method. And yes, of course, digital marketing has become a great way of generating leads and creating your brand presence. Even as a buying agency, you have to create your aura, you have to create your expertise, you have to show that you are the master of your craft. And for that, social media is really, really important. And it has great tools for finding out the right leads for you. LinkedIn is really doing amazing. The last 2 years, I've heard so many success stories. Even for myself and my business, I've got so many good connections and relationships being built that it is really changing the way world does business. So LinkedIn has become very, very, very powerful. And for lifestyle products, of course, Insta has become very powerful. So use social media, generate leads, and also create a brand of yourself. Show the world that what you can do for them. What's in it for them should be your motto. The communication should be 80-20 rule. 80% of time, talk about what you can do. Talk about information, knowledge, and only 20% of time, talk about very subtle way of how you can help them and maybe a little bit of selling. Very, very effective method to really generate great leads and of course, create a great brand. And people say that you can create a brand which is 7 to 8 times more than what you actually are in a digital world if you do the communication in the right way. So very, very important. And something which is really nice is again the hashtag method. As you know, you whenever put your social media things, you put in hashtags. When you put hashtags, you get all the hashtags possible post. For example, here I've shown leather wallets. So leather wallets, you'll get 136,000 posts. So if you have a data mining person, give it to them, let them open. What you will find in this, you'll find influencer, you'll find the brands, you'll find the companies, you'll get their data. So these are the methods which we are using to find out specific buyers for your products based on exactly your expertise. So these are the 7 methods which are used, and a lot of data can really be gathered from this. And then, of course, it'll come to how to communicate to them. And we're going to talk about that a little later. And Gagan definitely is going to cover that in his marketing sessions. But let's also understand what are the new tools people are using nowadays, which I told you like icing on the cake, which people are using to generate more leads. They are very, very innovative methods. So to begin with, Quora. The podcast, you start your own podcast with industry leaders. And of course, when it goes to more and more people into your industry, when you get more and more people following you, that is when you really generate leads, because this is helping you become a master of your craft. Clubhouse, if you're joining in the right place, in the right rooms, people are getting amazing connections. I've been running a Clubhouse room for last 3 months, and I've been joining some groups early morning, late night, when US market and the other markets open up. I'm able to get amazing connections for myself. And I'm sure all of you, with your knowledge, with your wisdom, if you join this Clubhouse, choose the right club, spend some time. I'm not saying that keep spending too much time on that. You will be able to generate amazing connections and amazing leads for you. So certain forums, which are very, very important. Softwares like ZoomInfo and DNB. DNB can give you amazing data of buyers depending on the exact requirements you have. Similarly, ZoomInfo can give you that data. And finally, 3 amazing tools which you can use in LinkedIn as a top-up and can really find out very relevant people. And they are Lusha, Rocket Reach, and Sales Navigator. Use them, study them, and you will find out that it will be so easy to connect with people using LinkedIn. They have emails, they have complete system where you can find out whole data about a person. Very effective new methods for generating leads. So these are the various ways you can find out people with whom you can connect, with whom you want to represent, and data mining is done. Use these innovative methods, and I'm sure you'll be able to find out the countries you're shortlisted. You'll be able to find a lot of data. And the third point we're going to talk about today is the lead conversion. You have got the data. you've got the prospect very clearly into your mind. But how do we convert them? What is the process? What are the things required? What should be our preparation? So of course, this can take almost 3 to 4 hours, which we do in our training sessions. But I'm just going to sum it up and bring you that perspective that how you should be able to convert those leads. So the first one would be, of course, lead capture. So whenever you're generating a lead, use a CRM software, something like Zoho Begin or a lot of other softwares, and capture those leads. Then would be lead nurturing, prospecting, the follow-up, negotiation skills, and finally, the closing skills. If you look at the funnel, if you look at the sales funnel, you start with lead capturing, nurture the leads, do the prospecting, start following it up. When you reach to a level when you have to meet that purpose, master the art of negotiation skills, and yes, the closing skills as well. And if you're done and ready with all of this, at a structure and a pipeline of a funnel, of course, you can grow your business exponentially. So I'll just touch upon these points. And the first one would be lead nurturing. Well, lead nurturing is all about educating, informing, engaging them into various ways, and then converting. So these are the 4 steps. So start educating. When you're sharing details with people, whether through email or whether any other way, even you're writing blogs or articles or videos on LinkedIn, it should be about educating people with your expertise, about the trends into your industry, about the new things happening in your industry, informing them with the new products, creating small videos of how to, and giving value addition to people. Keep them engaged. Keep them engaged, not by selling, but by giving that information. And of course, the conversion will happen. Once the leads nurtured, the other one is when it reaches a level, you need to do prospecting. You need to really find out in detail about that client. First of all, of course, this is important, is create an ideal prospect profile. You should know that what kind of people you want to work with or you want to represent with. Create their persona. Create their profiles. Once that is created, identify ways to meet your ideal prospect. I've given you a lot of different ways to find out these prospects, but identify what would be the most suitable for you and maybe start with that. Actively work on your call list. I mean, a lot of people say that cold calling is a passe. I would say it's not a passe, it's not the first approach, but yes, after a level that can also be tried, but you should be ready with a lot of processes in that, because that is something which is going to help you in terms of conversion. Did you know that when you ask 11 to 14 questions during a cold call, the translation of success is almost 74% more. So it's good to do this, but you need to be really ready for this stuff. Send personalized emails. Now, something which has really come up very, very well is that understand the buyer, do the study, and when you're sending an email to them, do a personalized email, just not by the name, just not by Dear Sandeep Kaushik, but adding something about Sandeep Kaushik on the top. And that you can do using softwares, finding out a little bit about the person on LinkedIn, and then putting that up in that data, and then using that data. In a B2B atmosphere, in a B2B scenario, you don't need 100 clients in the country. You would need 3, 4, 5 good clients, or maybe less. So find out the right people, do the right communication. That is something which is very, very. Ask for referrals. If you're working for someone, of course, you can always ask for referrals. Become a know-it-all. As I said, that project yourself and your company as a super expert into your domain. That is going to really help you out in terms of building a good image, and people start trusting you. The credibility goes up and the trust factor comes in. Build your social media presence. Be absolutely active on your social media. Consistent on your social media is very, very important. And then, yes, send relevant content to the prospects and videos to demonstrate your sales skills, or videos to add value to what you are sharing. So that is something which will help you in doing the complete prospecting. And once the prospecting is done, once the basic communication is done, what is required is follow up, and follow up. And as you know, that 80% of successful sales, 80% of successful rates require 5 follow-ups on an average. That's the average. And I've heard so many times up to 7 follow-up, 11 follow-ups, and sometimes 4. So sales follow-up is something which is very, very important, but in international market is slightly different from what we do in domestic market. In domestic market, sometimes the sales follow-up is very aggressive. International, you can't be very, very aggressive. But how you can do is that use various methods. Don't just use one method of follow-up. Try using multiple methods. That is something which will be very, very important. Space it out. It's not that you have sent a follow-up today, send another one tomorrow or 48 hours. No, space it out 7 days or maybe 10 days. Sometimes I remember I'm able to close a deal almost after a year. Maybe the one fair I met the people, and the second fair before that you're able to finish, or maybe the next fair. So space it out, not that in terms of a month, but yes, maybe 7 to 10 days. Provide value with each follow-up. Each follow-up you do, it should not be just like gentle reminder. Please let us know what is the next step, not just one-liners. Try to add some more value every time you follow up. Give him more information, give him more knowledge, maybe share a success story, but keep following it up. Always define the next steps. Whenever you're doing a follow-up, you should know what is the next step. And subject line of whatever you are doing, especially when you're sending emails, really matters. You need to personalize that subject line for him to open that follow-up. And always, always remember to keep it brief. Any communication, especially a follow-up communication, you can't make it very, very big. And once you're done with sales follow-up, what is required is negotiation skills. You have done the follow-up, you've met on the table, and then that is the time you need to do negotiation. And for negotiation, you need to be ready with all the metrics about your costing and everything, all the details about what all is possible. And then people use these tactics, which are very, very important for you while negotiating, is attention to details. You should have complete details with you. You should have all the metrics with you, which will help you in terms of negotiating better. The flexibility in your approach, empathy, attitude of gratitude is something which always will help you in terms of negotiation, the problem solving ability, and you should be persuasive. There's a very thin line between persuasive and being aggressive. So you need to learn that line. You need to learn that skill, something which will come with time. But once you master the art of negotiation skill, it is going to be a win-win-win-win-win for everyone. And finally, the last point is the closing skills. Now, closing an international market is not going to be easy. It's not going to be something which you can push upon people. But yes, there are certain strategies which you can use to close when it reaches to a level, when you feel that you can close the deal. That is something you can always work on. The first one is assumptive clause. Assumptive clause is something you can say, what day you want your shipment or what month you want your shipment. And then the option clause. Do you want your shipment to be delivered in February or March? The suggestive clause. Based on your discussions and your requirements, I would suggest you receive orders in March or in April. So that is something, again, a suggestive clause. And finally, the urgency clause, which says limited time offer. Because the raw material is so volatile, I'm not able to give you this offer for more than 48 hours or at the most a week. So once you do that, that is when you will be able to really close these deals in a very nice way. So you have to go through that process. And let's see what all we covered today. We basically covered how you can shortlist favorable countries based on your products, how you can create leads using various methods, and finally, how you can really convert those leads into business. So thank you so much for being so patient and hearing me. We are now on for questions. Any questions you have, I'll be very, very happy to answer them. And I hope the session has helped you in terms of adding value to the way you perceive business, the way you are finding out buyers. And this is a systematic approach, which we keep on talking in our master classes, which we do for exporters and buying agents, how to grow your business. I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Sandeep. That was very informative indeed. I'd like to open the floor for question and answers. Do we have any questions here? You can write it in the chat box. You can ask them. You can raise your hands and I can unmute you.
Either I've given information which is absolutely inside, or maybe I've given too much.
That's it. I think you've given everything. It's so clear that nobody has a question.
That sounds good.
No,
but
indeed,
we had someone who raised hand in between, so maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, Harpreet has a question here.
Yeah,
hey guys, this is Harpreet from Tribal. So thank you so much for the crisp Zoom thing, Mr. Sandeep. We've been personally, I've been following the same process which you have laid out, and it was very descriptive. Thank you so much about. I have one question. When we when we found that clientele, and we are very sure about all these steps that we have heard from you, and we follow the same, but after checking all those monetary things also, that what is the status and all, but when we don't get these replies and also, how often, how soon or far can we send them these reminders, and what kind of reminders? That is more important, because if we don't get that response in 2 or 3 messages, we feel that they are really not willing to partner that business deal or whatever. So I just want to know, how is it like, we keep on reminding them after a month or so, or what is the good time for a reminder to be sent? I think you mentioned a little bit for domestic and international thing, but I just want to have some clarity on that.
So great question, Harpreet. Thank you so much for asking. And this is something which a lot of us does face, because a lot of time people come and say, hey, I've sent 2,000 emails, 5,000 emails. I haven't got even a single reply. What is it happening? First thing, of course, is the data capturing was not done right. Maybe somebody bought the data and stuff like that. But in your case, I'm sure you're doing due diligence and following the method and finding the right buyers. In your case, it should be, as I said, that when I was talking about finding data, there has to be multiple connection point with these buyers. So one, of course, is an email strategy. Again, there, you need to keep adding value to people. Maybe they don't reply for the first time because maybe they've heard. Of course, Triberg is a big brand. I'm sure they must have heard of. But otherwise, if you look at the normal people or normal agents or normal exporters, they might not have heard about you. But then keep adding that value. Keep having that emails. Maybe like I would say every 15 days you can add up something else, not just a follow-up like, hey, we have sent you an email on 15 days back, how about having a call or something? Not like that. You should definitely keep adding value for some time, and then maybe after 3, 4, or 5 emails, you can ask them about it. Parallelly, I would say the parallel thing would be to connect on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn has become very, very active, and a lot of people are now utilizing it. So if you find out a company, find out who are the people players. If it's a bigger company, you'll have a lot of people. Sometimes it's difficult to find out who's the right person for you. But still, connect with few decision makers, connect with them, create an impression there. You have to see which groups they are in. You kind of also become part of those groups. Again, while connecting with them, don't try to sell straight away. Don't try to really make those connections. Create an image of an expert where people would come to you and say, hey, what do you do? I mean, so that connection need to be done parallelly through LinkedIn. Of course, I told you about how to go about in terms of emails. And still, at the end of it, if nothing is happening, it's always good to make it a try and give a call as well. I will not say that giving call is absolutely no, though a lot of people don't like it. But if you've done this whole process and people have that recall value, it is still okay to call them maybe after 2-3 months.
because we've been following again the same thing that you said, like, it's not that the numbers or the email addresses are available anywhere on any site in the world. Let me tell you, be honest. So if they are interested in your profile, they definitely, first thing is they connect with you, and then you sell yourself in a bet. Then because you have only X number of words to be shared with them in the first message, I think 300 words something. So you have to be very precise while what you write in those 300 words.
Absolutely.
So if they come back, and they give you the email address and they ask for your email address, that is where the first step is, and you get that first step with them. So that also has happened. So my question was beyond that, after having what they have requested. So in terms, for example, they're looking for some home product or for any category. So we have given them all those details with, all those closures, costings, what kind of lead times and everything, very crisp and precise. So, but then even if somebody is not responding to that after that, so you're trying to say that we have to be innovative and keep on sending things, which later might be of his interest. Later, maybe what we have sent, he's not looking at it as of now. So
I was talking to a team of people on this subject, and people said that it's very, very important for a salesperson to also hear no. A lot of time we are scared of saying कि यार पूछेंगे तो वो मना करते. But it is equally important to hear that no from that people that no, we don't want to work with you. But at the same time, I had this story from a company called Kirloskar. Now, Kirloskar was selling pumps to a company. He's a friend of mine who was putting up a plant. And finally, he decided not to give it to Kirloskar, has given to some other company. Most of the people, most of the salespeople will say, thank you so much, and might not contact them. But these people keep on contacting them, sending them the details, sending them that you have given it to these people, but they will not be able to give you on time. I'm not saying we're going to do this, but I'm just telling you the strategy that you are still in touch. Even if the buyer has said no to you, you're giving him added value, you're giving him more success stories, you're showing some videos, some kind of interaction and engagement is there. And in that case of my friend, he finally ordered it to Kirloskar because the company he is finalized was not able to deliver it. But in your case, in all of our case, things can happen that initially they might not like maybe the pricing, maybe the whole range, but there are a lot of factors to decide on your business. But eventually, if you keep a loop, keep them engaged, keep sharing your stories, whatever it is in a different ways, it definitely helps. And while communicating with the 300 words, you said, what I've seen is that if you write something about them, their personal thing, looking at their profile, and add one-liner about how you like them and why you want to connect with them, I think it becomes very, very professional, and people do connect with them, and the connection is very, very fast. You are muted, Harpreet.
Thank you so much. I don't want to.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Harpreet, I just want to come in and I want to mention here that while I was listening to this conversation, and I could actually see some answers already in the next session, which we are going to be doing on the 12th. On the 12th, we are talking about various channels of marketing with which people reach to people, and how do they get response and why do they not get response. So there we will be talking at depth about email marketing. We will be talking at depth about specifics on digital marketing and how with other various channels, how website is these days website has become the hub of every single activity which you have to do. So hold on for another round of, which is round number 3, where we'll be talking specifically about the channels of marketing and how to really maximize these channels and make each channel a lead gen channel for you. That's the thought process. Yes.
And also, like most of the time, people, whenever you send any kind of communication, the first thing they look at first is your website, then is the social media. So the communication you are doing in that also matters a lot. But when they reply to you before that, the first thing they do is, of course, straight away go to your website, 99%. And then the next one would be your LinkedIn profile. So if those are not really communicating the way you are communicating to people, you might not get the replies. Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Sandeep.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Anupam Sharan. You have mentioned a lot about LinkedIn. Now, I have a LinkedIn profile for the last, whatever, 15, 20 years, but that is my individual profile. Now I am to go into marketing to build up a professional profile and have a person actively monitor it. Right? Like I'm thinking of hiring a digital marketing specialist in my organization to do all the social media marketing.
Yeah.
Should a new company LinkedIn account be opened, or my individual account should be used for that?
You will require both, Anupam. Firstly, of course, you have to create your company's page on LinkedIn. There you will be able to invite the people who are into your connections to start liking that and following you on that page. But LinkedIn is a person-to-person connection site. Of course, it's good to have your company side and details happening there and this communication happening there. But the connection will happen from your personal account, Anupam. So you need to really, whether you're giving it, outsourcing it to someone to do it for you, or I normally suggest to people that if you really want to grow your client base and build relationships into various countries, if you can spend 1 hour every day on LinkedIn personally, because what you can talk, what you can communicate, and what your teams can communicate is different. Your teams can take care of the social media posts and videos and blogs and all that on your behalf, which is great. But for you to connect with people, find out the right people, connect with them, that is something which only you can do. Nobody else can do better than you, at least. So choice is yours. If you don't really have time at all, then of course hire a company and they can do that for you. But majorly the connections happen from person to person, people to people.
So the net answer is that the existing account needs to be maintained and
yes, absolutely, absolutely maintain it. Yes, why not?
Right, thanks.
But yeah, do look at the various details about your profile, that what all details need to be there. A lot of times we don't really put in the entire details in your LinkedIn profile, because again, when you send a connection request to new people or influential people or big company CEOs, they would look at your profile. So they want to see how you can add value to them. So that is something we need to really work on in terms of your personal profile.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure, please.
My
Yes,
name
please.
is Gaurav.
Yeah, Gaurav.
Sir, I would like to know that whenever we go in LinkedIn account, we approach some people. Sometimes it is not necessary that they accept our invitation. In this case, it goes sometimes longer, or sometimes they accept but didn't reply. What can we do? For example, we have selected an international apparels company to have to approach them for manufacturing of goods, but they have accepted our invitation, but they are not interested to communicate anyone. Even you have given your details about the company, everything, but they are not giving you any chance to have a good to have a communication with them. What we can do in this case?
So Gaurav, firstly, what happens that most of the times, I'm not sure whether you are doing that or not. Most of the times, first of all, when we send a connection request, we just say connect. We don't send a personal message to them that why you want to connect. So that why you should never be that I want to connect because I want to work for you. If you do that, I think nobody, even if you get something like this from a supplier, you might not connect. Now, once you're connected with the right approach, the first thing you do is, a lot of people do, and when I get a lot of people doing that with me, is send them a sales pitch straight away. That we are a factory in India, we do this, we do that. How about working together? We can give you this, we can give you that. Think of it, if somebody doing that with you, what will happen? If it happens with me or someone, I'm sure you will either say, sorry, let's not connect with him, or maybe, remove him from my contact list. So it is about building relationship, and that takes time. And that is an approach which you need to take, Gaurav. Is it like, first of all, connect with people with the right message. Once they're connected, say a nice thank you to them, and then don't start jumping on things. Don't start talking to them and selling things, and then start contributing. Look at that company, which all groups they are part of. whenever they contribute something, whenever they write something, do add up something from your side, which is complementing what they are saying. That is when they start the recall value. That is when the relationship is built. And then you can talk about, I mean, a very subtle way you have to talk about sales, not directly. Because people will not start working with you when you have direct sales on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is more of a place where you create your image, build trust, and then of course go in for the kill.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Gaurav. Okay, do we have any other questions? How to overcome fear in starting a business? Priya Singh. You can only overcome the fear of starting the business by starting the business. See, unless we have a very clear thing, and then friends, we say that if you have an idea, don't flirt with it, marry it. So if you want to start export business, if you want to do any other business, I'm not sure what you want to start in terms of business, give it, I mean, go all in. Like you do in poker, if you really want to win big, go all in. So start your business, of course, plan it well, understand the nitty-gritties and prepare yourself for this, and then go for it.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. Do we have any more questions here?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I am Gaurav. I have a question.
Yeah, Gaurav.
Is there any other tool also apart from LinkedIn, any strong tool where we can find our international buyers so we can communicate?
So Gaurav, as I told you during the session, that there are multiple ways to find out the buyers. There are multiple ways. I've actually given almost like 17 different ways to find out connections, buyers, and leads. Now to connect with them, of course, you start with sending the emails. Second is, of course, through LinkedIn. And within LinkedIn also, there are certain tools which I told you about, like the Sales Navigator and Lusha, which gives you an opportunity to send something called InMail. InMail is an internal email of LinkedIn. So there is a limitation to that. It's not that you can send thousands of that. But if you feel there is someone who is really good for your business, you can send them a personal email on InMail while using this tool. These tools are a little expensive. I'm not so very expensive, but they're a great way of connecting with people. These are all plugins. So Sales Navigator is part of LinkedIn, but the other two tools which I've talked about, especially Lusha, is a plugin. So just add that plugin and you can definitely connect with people a lot better.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Gaurav. Okay.
Sandeep, Anupam here again. One more question.
Yeah.
In the first opening statement when you made, you did a comparison of different value of import and value of export, and you showed some charts.
Yeah.
So can you share what is the link for getting that?
You want to say the websites?
Yeah, the websites where you get the data.
I think there are a lot of websites. If you just look at that, simply write on Google the tools for data analysis of export import. You will find a lot of them. It's the one there are some by World Trade Organization, some by ITC, some by a lot of other government organizations. They are majorly the government tools, and you will find them, quite a lot of them.
Any particular one that comes to your mind, or we just?
I have to really check. Basically, we do it from the World Trade Organization, and that's where they have a lot of tools in that. We use that majorly.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupam. Yeah, Tanya, I think we are good.
Okay. We have something. Okay, so Shivani Singh has a question. She says that a lot of times we get replies from buyers stating that we already have a lot of suppliers right now. We don't want to connect with new suppliers, especially agents. In this case, how can we impress the buyer as sourcing agents?
See, I think for any such people, you need to show what value you add as a sourcing agent. See, if I am working, I'm a buyer. I'm sitting in any country, and I'm already working with, say, 5 Indian suppliers or 6 Indian suppliers, and I'm okay with their work. I mean, I'm happy, but I'm okay. I'm working. So if you approach me as a sourcing agent and you're proposing that I want to represent you in India and this is how I can help you, so that what is in it for them, that is something which need to be communicated in a very nice way. So I should be able to understand categorically that if I don't work directly with the suppliers and work with the sourcing agent, this is what I'm going to get. And it might be that it might not be that the whole communication you can do in one email or one video or one discussion. You might need to keep on adding that information, that how you as a sourcing agent can add value to them. Once you're able to add that value, once I start getting that thing in my mind that, okay, they will do a QC for me. Okay, they will negotiate a good price for me. They will make sure that the packaging standards are good. They make sure that things are delivered on time. So when you start giving those things which you add up as a sourcing agent, or maybe, you can look at, we can work on innovations into your product. So whatever things you can bring in as an expert, that is something need to be communicated to them. And then only I will say that they would reply. Once I know that I'm going to get whatever I'm getting and more from you. If you're also offering the same thing as they are offering, then why should I touch? I'm happy. But when you give that add-on value, that is when they would surely like to work with you. I hope it answers your question, Shivani.
So I think we are good to move forward. And I'd like to take the opportunity of thanking Sandeep for the wonderful and such a meaningful conversation today. And, also for sharing such innate small details that, we usually tend to overlook as we get involved and engaged in our day-to-day activities. I hope that all of us, all our members here today can use these tips shared by Sandeep in our everyday activities, find some time and, kind of cultivate and hone our skills here. Very, very small, simple research-based exercises, which we can, add to our practice to bring up our trade. Also, what I did notice was that you shared some very small insights, but very meaningful again on, how social media plays such a vital role in our trade today, or any trade for that matter, and how, it kind of builds the connectivity. So thank you. These are some small things that we always tend to overlook as we move along, with our everyday business practice. So thank you very much, Sandeep, for such a meaningful conversation today. I would also like to take the opportunity of thanking Team Sotex, Gagan, Sonil, and definitely Sandeep Kaushik for sharing this meaningful conversation today. I'd like to thank the entire governing body for supporting the event today, and all our members who joined in and made it a very, very successful talk. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
And before we log off, just requesting everybody possible to join us for our AGM tomorrow. We really look forward to connecting in person tomorrow at 4 p.m. at Vasant Vihar Club. So whoever can, please do join us for a high tea and some gupshup. Thank you all.
I'm looking forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Have a wonderful week until then. Goodbye.
Thank you.
And thank you so much once again.
Bye.